Inside the Pylon, a Midwest College football podcast, joined as always by Clinton Boring. My name is Ryan Zatkoviak. Week 8, Jesus, is officially in the books. Things are coming into clearer picture here, Clinton. The contender tiers are starting to separate themselves. We're still getting some interesting happenings in the middle of the Big Ten here. What are your kind of big? How are you doing, man? How was your weekend watching all of this? I'm running on 4 hours of sleep. I am a vegetable right now.
It was a good weekend, man. We first weekend without flag football since we ended on Thursday, so that was kind of sad. But we picked up a little football camp for Elliot to do on Saturday mornings now, so that's fun. This weekend was pretty nice and fairly chill. Next weekend will not be. It will be full of birthday parties. So
Oof.
my Saturday next week, I'm going to be the one limited on information because I have a birthday party at noon and a birthday party at 4. So we'll be walking into, I believe, our first Saturday night show that we've done in 3 weeks.
About a month now, yeah.
And I'm going to be relying on you because I'm not going to be able to watch much football next Saturday, which is going to be kind of a bummer. But overall, another good weekend as we expected across college football. Texas gets taken to double overtime or to overtime. I
I think
believe Auburn.
there was like 9 ranked teams that lost this weekend.
Yep. Yeah, Missouri to overtime. USC goes down to Notre Dame, which we'll get into. Georgia mounts a big comeback to beat, I just blank on his name, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Florida State lost again. We had more coach firings this
Miami
time.
lost on Friday night.
Yes. Nebraska got whooped by Minnesota. Will Luke Fickle be fired soon? Will Mike Norvell be fired soon? Should we just promote and keep the entire UCLA coaching staff?
Billy Napier got fired today. There's
Get the
so much
can.
going on
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
After a win.
Yes, our friends over at 3 Tech Pod were saying they need Florida needs a Mike Elko type hire. And I'm like, well, who's Mike Elko here? Like, are you going to go to Manny Diaz? You're not getting Marcus Freeman. And
No, okay. I'm so sick and tired of going on Notre Dame message boards and these stupid Chicken Little fans having a fucking meltdown every time they pull information from another site that's, oh my God, these guys said Marcus Freeman's a candidate for this job. I'm like, well, yeah, they're going to fucking call him and he's going to tell him no, like he did with Penn State. It was literally like there was someone screenshotted a post from a Florida insider that was like, well, there's smoke that he's unhappy with some transfer portal stuff in Notre Dame. It's like, why are you going to throw away the number 3 recruiting class in the nation over a transfer portal thing, even if it was true? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
yeah,
He's not going to Florida.
nope.
He's not going to Florida.
Nope. Maybe Florida State. I'm just kidding. He
I
likes
actually
the
think
gold.
he'll actually I actually heard Stanford is looking for a new coach. We might want to look out for that one.
Oh boy. Well, Ryan, how are you tonight, man? You had
Oh,
quite a rush of a weekend coming here to Columbus. How did Sam's marathon go?
I
Did you
felt
run half a marathon while chasing
no.
her around in the rain?
Okay, so she ran a marathon, but I am the one who ended up with the back of my Achilles ripped off the skin from my stupid shoes walking around in the rain. I felt so bad for her because it. You're in Columbus. It was fucking pouring all day
It's still
today.
pouring, dude.
It was all day today. And like so, we were staying at my old roommates in Hilliard. So it was like 20 minutes drive to downtown Columbus. So she woke up at 4:30 to eat. I slept on my buddy's couch last night, so I wouldn't wake her up after the game going to bed. So she woke me up at 4:30, and then I fell back asleep, and that was probably the only restful hour I got of sleep all night because I was just tossing and turning all night. So then she got me up at 5:30. We drove down there. I dropped them off, and it was already raining. I'm like, shit, that sucks. we we walked down to the finish line because a couple of her friends were running the half, so we wanted to meet them there for that. And then we walked back to her friend's house because they live on Neal, right where mile 24 was. We're like, okay, so we'll go back there, we'll hang out at the house, and we'll catch Sam at mile 24 and then go back to the finish line. And we were walking back from the half. So she was about halfway done at this point, and it like started monsooning. Like it was so wet that I had to borrow a pair of my friend's pants and put my pants in the dryer to dry them off.
Oh man.
I She might have trench foot. but she finished her race in about 4.5 hours. I'm very proud of her. She persevered. She got
Absolutely.
sushi for dinner tonight.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm running on about 4.5 hours of sleep. I did not get a full viewing experience yesterday because we were driving down there. We didn't get to our destination until about 1:30. And then just kind of moving around a little bit. And I was in Columbus all day today and got back about an hour and a half ago. So that's where we're at right now.
Braving the weather.
Braving the
Both
weather.
the runner and the significant other.
Well, also the drive back in the rain was god awful too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's been.
let's not lose sight of who the real victim is here. Me.
Yeah, she got to sleep the whole way home. What?
I don't. She might not even sleep tonight.
Does she have tomorrow off?
Yeah, she took the next 2 days off.
I've heard at least taking the next day off is advisable. I had a coworker over at my location run the marathon today too, and we all sent him best luck. He's actually PR'd
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
while in the rain. Which props
That's
to you,
super
Matt. I
impressive.
know you listen to the show.
That is super
Hell of a job,
impressive.
man. We're
Super
both super
impressive.
proud of you. Enjoy your day off tomorrow. Make sure you get your Penn State and your Miami, Ohio game in though. We need to move the MAC. Okay. Anyways, we got a hell of a weekend to talk about. We got to start with your Irish first, right? Should we?
Yes, absolutely.
Also, we had a
Clinton.
lovely chat comment from Gopher Insight. If you can pop that on the screen, we
I
appreciate you
absolutely
listening.
can, because we're going to talk about Minnesota second today, because that was, I think, the
Yes.
second most impressive, interesting result of the weekend.
Absolutely.
But yes, Clinton, USC 24, Notre Dame 34. I'm not sure why I said that backwards. This was
Not a 17-point cover. Told you.
okay, Clinton. The SP plus expected win percent after this game was like 98% Notre Dame, and the adjusted margin of victory was 19 points. Notre Dame they fucking left 10 points on the field with a shanked 30-yard field goal, a missed extra point, and then deferred a field goal attempt when CJ Carr threw the dumbest interception that I've ever seen a quarterback throw on a third
That
and
was
goal.
glorious.
I
Boneheaded.
throw the fucking ball away, man. What are you doing?
It's
So
freshman QB, man. Freshman
this
QB.
was he was trying to relive his first touchdown pass against Miami that should never have worked, and this time there was no one open, and dude, you just got to throw the ball away.
Yeah.
This was a game that was in doubt the entirety almost of the game because Notre Dame refused to put USC away, but it was never a close game. Notre Dame had USC at arm's length for most of the game. USC had a very impressive first drive of the game, and I thought after that drive, oh boy, here we go, especially when Notre Dame goes down the field and scores on 2 Jeremiah Love runs later. Like, boy, here's going to be another fucking 42-41 game that's going to spike my blood pressure. And I got to say, man, to credit where credit is due here, Chris Ash called an incredible game in this one. I was not sure what they were going to do with, like, somebody asked, I don't remember if it was one of the guys at Irish Illustrated or one of the guys at Blue and Gold on 3 who asked Marcus Freeman on Monday, is there any consideration to basically stapling Leonard Moore to Mekhi Lemon? And he said, well, we thought about it. And I didn't think they would do it because Mekhi Lemon normally plays out of the slot. And that is not Leonard Moore's position. Like, he is going to be your boundary side cornerback playing up against typically the big, tall receiver. And he was stapled in the slot to Mekhi Lemon for the majority of this game. And he did a fucking incredible job at it. Mekhi Lemon got his. He had 4 catches, I think 74 yards in this one, but I think only 2 of those came in man coverage when Moore was covering him. He had a long post late in the third quarter when Gray was on him and then passed him off to the safety, and the safety didn't get over in time. And at that point, it was a 3-point game, and I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be bad. And then the very next play was the Lincoln Riley special double reverse pass that Mekhi Lemon just dropped and fumbled, and Kingston Viliamu recovered, and that was kind of a turning point in this game. Notre Dame scored on the ensuing possession, became a 10-point game, and then the scoring was kind of done at that point. But incredible game from the Irish defense in this one. Again, outside of that first possession of the game, they only allowed 1 other touchdown, and it was a drive that started at the USC 35 after a kickoff out of bounds, and 30 of the 65 yards on the drive were on pass interference penalties. So Notre Dame really locked down in this game on defense, and that was super encouraging to see because they've been playing well the last 3.5 weeks against good offenses. I get the teams overall aren't great, But fuck, man, look what Arkansas did again this weekend. They scored 42 points against Texas A&M. Notre Dame held them down. Notre Dame got after Boise State, held them down. Boise State just beat the crap out of a previously unbeaten UNLV team. And then a week ago, they shut down an NC State offense that has been impressive and is Virginia's only blemish this year. And they did it again. USC averages 45 points a game. Notre Dame held them to 24. Shut down their running game. King Miller could not get anything going. USC could not get anything throwing the ball. Jaden Maeva got his 330 yards, but he only averaged 7.8 yards per attempt. Man, those aren't fantastic numbers. If you told me before the game what CJ Carr's stat line was going to be, I probably would have told you that Notre Dame was going to lose because I did not envision a world in which Notre Dame was going to run for 300 yards in this game. I thought that they would get theirs on the ground, but it was a complete no-show from the USC defense. And after a week of everyone giving them their flowers and talking about how tough they were, how improved they were on the line of scrimmage, and how they can win a big physical game, Clinton, they showed you who they are again. They're a soft-ass football team. They can't win on the road. They can't win when their manhood is challenged. They beat Michigan because Michigan sucks. They didn't belong on the field in this game.
There's the clippable moment I asked you to deliver. That will be posted tomorrow. You know,
never mind Michigan just beat the crap out of Washington, but
they did. Watching this game as a neutral observer, it's the line of scrimmage, man. We talk about it all the time. If you can control the line of scrimmage, you're going to win the game. And USC was held to 68 yards, and Notre Dame ran for 315. That is a massive discrepancy. And guess what? That erases exactly what you said about Maeva. He was pretty impressive slinging the rock in that downpour, man. He was 22 of 42, I get it, but 328 and 2 TDs. I know he had the 2 picks, but that's a lot of passes to be in a monsoon for most of the game.
For sure.
I'm still impressed with him. I'm not impressed with anything else about USC other than Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, but Maeva was pretty impressive.
Well, so here's the thing. And Marcus Freeman said this before the game, is we want to make them one-dimensional, and they basically went into this game saying they're not going to beat us on the ground like USC did last week. We're going to take away their running game, and if you take away the running game, Lincoln Riley can't help himself, and he's just going to get pass happy.
Air raid.
And they telegraph it. Like, they're throwing the running backs way out wide. There's no threat of a run. Maeva's not a threat to run. They put in Hassan Longstreet for a play. I think it was out of the 2-minute timeout.
That must have been bedtime.
And he scrambled and got just shut down in the backfield because it was telegraphed. And the funny thing about this, too, is Notre Dame did not disguise coverage at all in this game because Leonard Moore was in the slot. They were playing man. If Leonard Moore was not in the slot, they were playing zone. Sure, they probably designed what zone they were running, but like, you line up right away as the quarterback. You find where 15 is, and that's exactly what it's going to tell you exactly what the defense is doing. And they weren't able to really take advantage of it. Again, they accumulated yards, but when you throw the ball 45 times, you're gonna get your yards.
Yeah, I think for Notre Dame, Irish fan or not, you've got to appreciate Price and Love, man. Price had a huge 100-yard kickoff return in the third quarter that also essentially flipped the game. And Love himself, he rushed for a career high 228 yards in this game, Ryan, plus a touchdown. His previous rushing best was against Purdue this year for 157 yards, in which the Irish won 56-30. So when you have such an elite duo in your backfield to be so dynamic, and dynamic being that Price can return kicks, he's very good in pass catching, and add to the fact how good he is on the ground, in addition to Love being good at both of those things too. He just doesn't get to return kicks, which is probably smart because he likes to hurdle everyone.
Yep.
My one thing for Notre Dame is, I think, let's say they make the playoff and you get against a team who can be more balanced. Leonard Moore is elite. There's no doubting that. Christian Gray might be a problem. He gets picked on a
very
ton.
Boomer bust. Well, if you're not going to throw at the one guy, you got to throw at the other guy.
I mean, you could attack the nickel. You could attack the linebackers if you're in zone. But, I mean, he was beat for a touchdown. He had a 2-point conversion he got beat on, flagged twice for PI. But he salvaged his day and picked Maeva late after the Price return TD, which was huge. But he's the guy, man. He's the guy if you face an Ohio State in the playoff or Alabama in the playoff that they are going to target the hell out of. So I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out if Notre Dame is able to finish the rest of the season undefeated. Lincoln Riley, man, I'm sitting here like, what is this play calling?
Mm-hmm.
The dumbass rolling Maeva out on a 4th and 1.
Twice.
And I'm just like, just QB sneaky. He's like 6'5".
Well, Clinton, do you remember when you definitely remember this in 2023 when Ohio State played at Notre Dame and there was still all this shit going around about Ryan Day's soft and Ohio State is soft. And I think it was like midway through the fourth quarter, they had a 4th and 1 at like the 19-yard line or something like that.
I
And they
don't
ran
even want to think about when they fucking ran it outside.
they ran the jet sweep with Ibuka and got stuffed. Like that was the first time that USC did that in this game. That's exactly what I thought of.
Yeah.
Is you had an opportunity there to show that you are a tough football team, and you chose
ran
not
away
to.
from it.
You
Yes.
chose not to do it because you did not trust your line of scrimmage to get enough of a push to get a foot.
Yep.
Twice. They did it twice.
Yep. It's your finesse team. You're not a physical team.
By the way, with Notre Dame's best run stuffing defensive tackle not playing.
Not playing. Yes. Now again, I believe USC was down 2 offensive linemen. Although I tell you what, I like Blackledge and Noah Eagle, but Blackledge botched Jacoby Lane's name like
Jacoby
5
Dean.
times.
Who's Jacoby Dean?
I'm like, homie,
I'm glad
do
you
your
mentioned that 'cause I
research.
completely forgot about that.
What are we doing here?
Jacoby
And then
Dean.
again, you already mentioned the Mekhi Lemon receiver pass. Like, first of all, I'm not a fan of doing that, period. Second of all, why the hell are you doing it when it's raining?
Yeah, no, that's not the time.
I don't care if he was quarterback in high school. That is a horrendous time to do it.
Mhm.
And he shit his pants because when he rolled out there and nobody was open, he's like, well, what the hell do I do? And then he loses the ball.
Yeah, because you can see he was like, you could see on the replay behind he's running, and then as soon as the defense starts closing on him is when he like takes it out of the breadbasket to start the throw. It's like, buddy, at that point you just got to either throw it out of bounds or sit on it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who tweeted. I saw someone tweet that's like, no person on a trick play, no non-quarterback on a trick play has ever successfully thrown the ball away. It's always a disaster when shit hits the fan like that.
Now, real quick, before we talked about Notre Dame, I want to get real quick USC's upcoming schedule. Let's see what they can finish out. Very possible. This was their second loss. They could finish 9-3. They go to Nebraska on November 1st. They're on a bye this week. Nebraska's best thing on defense is defending the pass. What does USC do best? Defend the pass. Nebraska needs to absolutely rebound. Again, Matt Rule, amongst other coaches, look like coaches this week who are focused on potentially something else. You get Northwestern at home. Well, guess what? Northwestern's not a pushover anymore.
Nope, they've been doing.
They're good.
They've been playing.
They can run the ball and they play defense.
Yeah. Yep.
Then you're going to get Iowa, who's also at the top of the Big Ten right now. Very physical team. Then you got to go to Oregon. And then you get the hottest team in the country in the UCLA Bruins.
UCLA playing for a
heater.
UCLA's playing for a Big Ten title game in that game.
Ryan, they could potentially lose their last 5 games.
They could.
That is no joke.
They could. They could win
Absolutely
the last 5.
No joke.
They
Absolutely
could lose the last 5.
What a shitstorm that would be with such a strong start to their season, and if they went 1-4, 0-5.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be an interesting thing to watch because, like, this coaching carousel is already at like a 12.
Gosh. Yes.
And
what I just sent you about Norvell to dump his entire staff is over $100 million. They project.
The people who are already on the hot seat, but the people whose like seat might be warming up, but it's not there yet. Like if Brian Kelly loses his next 2 games against Texas A&M and Alabama, which have you seen those other two teams play? They're pretty good. I don't think LSU is going to beat either of them. If LSU's 5-4, are they going to fire Brian Kelly? If Florida State loses again next week or the next time they play, I don't know if they have a bye this week, are they going to fire Mike Norvell? They haven't won an ACC game in over a year. But like if USC falls to Nebraska and Northwestern, is Lincoln Riley in trouble?
I think he is.
I get we're getting way out in front of our skis here, and I think it's just as likely that USC rebounds and beats Nebraska as it is that they lose, but
absolutely.
It's on the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Meanwhile, you look at Notre Dame and everything's trending up.
You got a bye week now, and then
elite Boston College after your bye week, who just got beat by UConn.
Yeah, and someone asks Bill O'Brien after the game, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Well, if I knew, I would fix it." I'm like, that's not a great place to be in late October.
Ooh, should have took that Ohio State OC job and stayed there.
Yeah, no kidding. Big shout out though to the Notre Dame offensive line in this one. I did not see an injury update on Billy Schrouth. He had Jakeem Stewart in fucking hell all game.
Yep.
He was pancaking. What do they call him? Thanos. Thanos lost his Infinity Stones in this game. But he left midway through the game with a knee injury, came back in, and then left. I think it was like the last play of the game. He did not look like he was in a good way. So hopefully nothing serious from him because they are already playing without their starting right guard and their starting center. And shout out to Joe Otting, who came in and was also absolutely murdering people in this game.
Good news. You got a bye week and essentially another bye week right after that.
Yeah, and then you got
rest them up.
The German kid for Pitt the week after that, who's playing quarterback now, who's pretty good.
Yeah.
Heinrich Heischel or whatever his last name is.
Yeah, he'd be a good challenge.
He's electric. He's very good. Kind of backyard football. But,
oh, sorry. You said it's electric.
It's electric. Well, Clinton, you kind of mentioned Nebraska a couple times in there, so let's transition to that one next. Friday night, Minnesota 24, Nebraska 6. This was a shocking result for the 7-point favorited Cornhuskers in this game, even though the game was in Minnesota. I mean, I don't know if we thought this was going to happen, but you could squint and say this is going to be a potentially smooth walk to 11-1 or 10-2 for Nebraska. And I got to think now, the questions of whether or not a Matt Rule coach team at Nebraska is going to collapse in the second half of the season for the third year in a row, I think those might start to creep into the subconscious of Cornhuskers fans.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was not a good performance at all. You want to talk about lines of scrimmage. Nebraska was manhandled on both in this game.
Gave up 9 sacks in this game, Ryan. How do you expect any quarterback? Ask Patrick Mahomes what it was like getting hit constantly last year against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And he's probably the greatest quarterback on the face of this earth right now. And he couldn't do it. What do you expect baby Mahomes to do when Minnesota is chasing his ass down, sacked him 9 times? They had 10 TFLs on the night. Carter Mins and Anthony Smith had 2.5 sacks apiece, and then Jackson Howard joined the party with 2 as well, and there were a couple others with 1. Now, I will give some slight asterisk here. Nebraska spent a lot of the evening without 2 of the starting linemen. Rocco Spindler was taken to the hospital with a broken finger, so that must have been a pretty nasty broken finger to be taken to the hospital.
Yikes.
And then Elijah Pritchett was ejected for targeting in the second quarter.
That was wild.
So you're down 2 offensive linemen. To quote Matt Rule, a very simple one here. Obviously, you lose 2 offensive linemen, that's going to hurt you. But, this is where, and I talked about this with, I always botch his Twitter name, Ahil Babwa. He was making a comment. Essentially, everybody was just saying, well, Nebraska didn't do this and Nebraska didn't do that. And it's the same thing every week, man. Like, give the other team credit. Nebraska struggled in the line of scrimmage because Minnesota beat the shit out of them up front. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to give credit to an opposing team for something. 9 sacks is not Nebraska had a problem. That's Minnesota beat your ass.
Yep, for sure.
Like, maybe if you gave up 2 and he got strip sacked and you scored on one of them or something, but they physically manhandled you. And I'm going to flip it to the other side to prove that they manhandled you even more. Is we said on Thursday that Minnesota had to find a run game to be able to win this game because we know how good Nebraska's pass defense is, and they were good again in this game. Mm-hmm. Darius Taylor went for 24 carries, 148 yards, and 1 touchdown, Ryan. He finally looks healthy, and he dominated a bad Nebraska run defense. Mm-hmm. Flip it to the other side, and with the sack yardage, the Huskers managed a measly 36 yards on the ground. Emmett Johnson leading the way with 60-something, but they had so much sack yardage, it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. So Nebraska, for so much buildup, you get yourself ranked again. Where was that fun stat I was going to read to you here? But anyways, you get yourself ranked. Here it is. The Huskers were held without a touchdown and a loss for the first time since a 62-3 loss to Ohio State all the way back in 2016. 6 points for what your offense has been doing is pretty bad. Shout out Minnesota, whose defense got smoked by Purdue and Ohio State to come
Yep.
to play this way and look like the Minnesota defense we've came to expect from the past couple of years.
Yeah, this was a huge turning point for Minnesota. And if they play defense like this the rest of the year, this is going to be an intriguing team to watch because they are now 5-2. 3-1, I believe. Shit, is that math correct? 3-1 in the Big Ten.
5-2, 3-1.
Um, you look at their next 2 weeks. I think that there is a good chance that they are 7-2 heading into Oregon. I get that when you lose to Cal, you can't take anything for granted. But if they are 7-2 going into that Oregon game, that is going to be a very, very fun atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at Iowa is not going to be easy.
No, for sure.
But you mentioned the Cal team; they are 5-2 overall, so they're not a bad team. But one we definitely would have thought, given all the transfers, that Minnesota should have won. But at Iowa, then you get Michigan State, which Michigan State showed some life and a half against the now number 2 team in the country with Indiana. Aiden Childs was healthy. Then Signetti, and then popped off a big T. We'll get there. Big TD run. Anyways, but at Oregon, Ryan, when we go to visit, could be something special, man. And then again at Northwestern, it's not a gimme right now. Wildcats look good. You're gonna kick Wisconsin's ass, though.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Minnesota's going to bury them.
Yeah, they're probably not going to win a Big Ten game this year. I get never say never, but boy, do they stink.
And we'll comment on the fickle part, or maybe that's something we should save for tomorrow night's show. Maybe we'll do a little Heisman talk since we got 2 guys really factoring in right now. Maybe we'll do what should Wisconsin do, given the amount of coaches that are available in this cycle?
I think that sounds good. That sounds great.
Yep.
Let's just go to Wisconsin real quick because good transition. Ohio State.
Well, that game was over real quick.
Wisconsin 0. Yeah, that was I was heavy on Ohio State minus 25.5, and I was afraid that they were going to fart around for the first half again, and it was going to be a sweat for me. And they went up 17-0 early. Thank you for taking some of the drama out of that. The first touchdown pass from Julian Sane to Carnell Tate was one of the most ridiculous passes and catches I have seen in my life. That combo was just disgusting. What a catch, what a throw.
Well, my buddy, I love him, who's a Bama fan. He goes, we were in a little group chat, and I was like, man, what a throw and what a catch. What a throw in the double coverage. I'm like, well, to be honest with you, he was not double covered when he threw it. And second of all, he put the ball literally only where Carnell Tate could get that ball. The defense had no chance. Carnell Tate just had to make the catch, and he did, and he's spectacular. So good luck when this team decides to throw the ball playing defense against them.
Just it's such a quick release, and it was fun to see Ohio State unleash him a little bit early in the game and just kind of let him spread the ball around a little bit. I don't know that we've seen, we've heard the arm strength is good, and maybe this is just me being used to seeing Bryce Underwood try to throw holes through his receivers' chests. It doesn't quite look like it has that kind of zip on it.
He does not have a piss missile. No.
It's not like he's not Shea Weber unloading 107-mile-an-hour slap shots from the point on the power play, but the release is quick and deadly and accurate, and that you don't need to throw the ball a million miles an hour when it's getting out of your hand in a split second with that kind of quickness and acceleration. Good placement. He's a really good football player, and this is a Ohio State offense that it feels like they're kind of starting to round into form a little bit. But I think they're doing, I don't remember. You probably said this at some point because Sam said this to me, or maybe my old roommate said it to me. He's like, it feels like they're not playing because they're just kind of saving guys for the stretch run.
Yep, that is very much everything that I've heard, that they went through this exact experience last year. They know exactly what it takes to make it through a playoff and a national title. They're rotating guys here and there to get guys in. I mean, you saw Quincy Porter and Mylan Graham playing this game more than I thought was going to be seen in meaningful time, not at the end of the game.
Yeah,
Quincy Porter had a hell of a run and catch.
Second quarter or something like that. I was like, Quincy Porter in there. Okay.
Yeah, those guys were getting in. So we mentioned Sand. I don't know, man. He's the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen for Ohio State, and that's C.J. Stroud was pretty damn accurate. But I think it's just his mental processing and his quick release that you mentioned. Ryan, he doesn't even look shook. Wisconsin has a good D-line. They got some pressure on him in this game, and he does not look shaken at all. He just steps up, and he ran a few times. He actually ran a read option Again, that helps for the future. It makes teams have to respect that. You mentioned Ohio State is filthy on offense. They finally flexed in the pass game again. We saw that against Minnesota, and then they did it again. Carnell Tate, 6 catches, 111 yards, 2 TDs, plus the amazing TD catch. Smith, if Tate didn't have his day, Smith had a pretty good day. 9 catches, 97 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing for Smith is he commands so much attention. You see it every week.
For sure.
People are shading safeties, doubling, tripling, and guess what? That's why Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis and Max Clare are wide open, or the back, Bo Jackson out of the backfield. The only thing I have to say on Ohio State before we mention Wisconsin briefly here, they've got to improve their short yardage game. Mm-hmm. They still struggle with that. They continue to work on it, which is great. That's fine. You're going to win these games comfortably. You're probably going to beat Penn State comfortably. But Penn State has playmakers on defense that you're going to need to be better for. And Tegra Shabola, again, at right guard, super inconsistent. We've been seeing Josh Padilla rotating more and more every week. And on the drives when Shabola's in, it's just you don't know what you're going to get. And he got eaten alive multiple times in this game, both in pass protection and in the run game. That certainly doesn't help your short yardage game when your right guard is struggling to block. But when Padilla's in, again, he's probably not perfect, but it looked like the offensive line looked like a more cohesive unit. So you get the bye week. Let's see what Ohio State does. I would not be surprised if Josh Padilla, who's going to be next year's center, is now your starting right guard for the rest of this season. The Ohio State defense, man, it is just every bit of the word ELITE in all caps, elite. They're, I believe, now to 5.9 points per game. They held the Badgers to 144 total yards. Ryan, I don't think they crossed the 100-yard mark till the fourth quarter. 20 of their rushing yards came from their punter.
I checked the box score right when that play happened. I'm like, did their best play of the game just come from the punter? They had a 24-yard pass play, though.
Yep. And Ohio State, now if we're looking here, fewest points allowed through 7 games by an FBS team since the year 2000. It is currently Ohio State's 2025 defense at 41. What's significant about the rest of those, Ryan, is in 2021, Georgia was 46. I believe they won a natty. 2007, Ohio State, 46 points. I believe they went to the natty. 2023, Michigan, and 2011, Bama, both national title winners. Ohio State is trending very well. It's a much different system now with
Wait, is that the same Ohio State team that got fucking destroyed by Florida?
If it's the 07 team, that's the team that lost to LSU because it would be 08 natty.
So the team
if
that
it's
got
the
destroyed
06
by LSU.
team, they got their butts kicked by Florida. That would have been, I would say, the 06 season. I don't know how they shake these years out with shit. But if we're going season year, no, that would have been the one they lost to LSU. Austin Spittler, thank you for roughing the punter. That completely flipped the game, and then we lost. Anyways, the defense is fantastic. I mean, the best highlight of the day for Wisconsin was a fake punt that Ohio State wasn't ready for. So guess what? I guess they're going to go get ready for that.
Slowest developing fake punt I've ever seen.
Absolutely. And then you look at Wisconsin, man. We talked about the run game. It was pathetic. Their defense, their D-line played fine. Their D-line got pressure. They did their thing in the run game. They were pretty solid. But their quarterback problem just continues to persist, and that's a huge issue right now, man. When you've got a rotation back there due to health problems, you can't be consistent. And then you got running back injuries, you got O-line injuries that they kept alluding to the entire first half for CBS. Yep. We mentioned this, though. We mentioned this in the offseason. At some point, that can't be a crutch for Fickle anymore. You have to find ways to at least look competitive. And
sure.
They did not look competitive at all in this game. They never had a chance from the start. Sorry, Monte Ball, when you were saying pregame that Wisconsin absolutely had a chance to pull the upset. No, they didn't.
In your brain only.
Yes. And probably maybe the only. Luke Fickle probably didn't believe that.
Yeah, this is now Wisconsin's 10th consecutive loss against a P4 team. The second consecutive week they've been shut out in Clinton. They're on the road in Eugene this weekend. I venture a guess that there's a very good chance that they're going to get shut out for the third weekend in a row.
Can you imagine? 3 in a row for the Badgers.
I feel like if you get shut out for a third weekend in a row, coming into a bye week, you got to fire the guy then. But we'll talk about that a little more tomorrow.
Yep. We'll get some names on there that I think might be there.
We'll say not put the cart before the horse there. Let's go back. I had this one second, or I guess third on the list here. Michigan 24, Washington 7. Um, this was, Clinton, another example of Washington is starting slow on the road, and they cannot win. Well, they beat Maryland, I guess, but like
They started horrifically slow.
they tried to lose to Maryland, and then Maryland gave them that game.
They would have played Maryland in September. They'd have lost.
In this, I don't want to. I'm going to make this point before we talk about this game because I was thinking about this. We were sitting eating lunch, and I was watching this play out. And this, I mean, the whole backdrop of this was obviously there's been, I don't know if smoke is the right word, but hypotheses that if the Florida job ever opened up, that Jed Fish would be a candidate, a high on the list candidate, given that he is a Florida alum. And all last week, there were rumors that regardless of what happened this weekend, Billy Napier was going to get fired. So that was kind of on my mind. And I was sitting there watching this game. And this is not me saying that I think Washington is a bad job, because I don't think that's true at all. You have great support. You have a great fan base. You have a beautiful stadium. You have great facilities. You have a great tradition there. But given that it is the northwestmost outpost of a Midwest conference, I get you have Oregon close, but even with UCLA and USC, that's almost a 3 hour plane flight still. You have significant travel to almost every single road game that you play in conference. Is this the most challenging job in the Big Ten because of that geography thing? Because I mean, Oregon's in the same boat. Oregon's in the same boat as you, but they're a program that has been well established as a contender for a long period of time, spanning multiple coaches. And they may or may not have a fucking NIL war chest being backed by Nike, which kind of helps.
I don't know. I think UCLA might rival it a little bit, but I think it's UCLA rivaling it only because it's just lackluster fan engagement. That's not,
Yeah, that's fair.
but yeah, it's a tough spot. And
I would say challenging job from a program that should be good.
yeah, I
And
feel
I mean,
like
you could argue. I guess you could argue that UCLA should be good, but
Oregon's not a stepping stone job. USC is not a stepping stone job. Washington feels like a stepping stone job. Ask Kalen DeBoer. That's why he's at
That's true.
Alabama,
that's true.
and why Ryan Grubb did not get the head coaching job at Washington. Which I wouldn't be surprised if Jed Fish takes the Florida job if Ryan Grubb is not called to come back and then keep Damon Williams in tote, because Lagway most likely will be staying in Florida with Fish.
Well, everything that I've seen on Twitter is the first guy is going to be Lane. That they're going to take a swing
Yeah, but at
at.
this point, why? Ole Miss
No,
is
that's
better
true.
than Florida.
No, that's true.
They're better, and they don't have the expectations.
And that's the thing that that we're going to have to come to grips with here soon as a college football watching public, is especially like with the success that Indiana is having at a program like Ole Miss. If you have the money in play, and I don't know what the financial situation of these programs is. I'm not that deep into the weeds, but maybe if there's more big money donor backing at Florida than there is Ole Miss, maybe that's the reason. But you can win anywhere in college football now if you're in that power conference. And they just put together last year. I know they didn't make the playoff, but they put together a hell of a portal class there, which probably was not cheap. But that's just the stuff I've seen on Twitter today, is a lot of Lane Kiffin, call Lane Kiffin. But I feel like it's been discussed for a year and a half now that if Florida came open, Jed Fish would be a candidate.
His agent's already called. Ryan, before we divulge into the game, this is a part of the game. You sent me your thought. Is Jonah Coleman overrated?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
So this is a guy who, maybe not nationally, but certainly within the Big Ten, and maybe this is just me saying this because of my close proximity to you, and I know you've been pretty high on him, and I've been pretty high on him too, and I'm not saying that because I don't like Jonah Coleman as a player, but for all the talk about, one of the best running backs in the Big Ten, if you look at what he has done outside of the first 2 weeks when they played Colorado State and UC Davis, his numbers are not impressive. And I don't mean just from a volume standpoint either. He's now, the last 3 weeks they've played Maryland, Rutgers, and Michigan. Rutgers' run defense is god awful. Oregon is still running right now against them. Maryland's run defense is fine, but if you're Washington, you should be able to push Maryland around a little bit. And we saw what Michigan did a week ago against USC, giving up 180 yards to a walk-on running back that Notre Dame just stuffed in a locker for 4 quarters. Last 3 weeks for Jonah Coleman, he's averaging 3.1 yards per carry, and we're talking 18 carries, 14 carries, 16 carries. This is not a small sample size. For the season, he's at 5.1 yards per carry, but again, that is bolstered by 177 yards week 1 against Colorado State, 111 yards week 2 against UC Davis. He had 70 yards against Ohio State. That is his high for the season outside of those 2 games. I mean, he has a touchdown each of the last 3 weeks. 12 touchdowns on the season is fantastic, but again, 9 of those came the first 3 weeks when they were playing teams that don't have a pulse. He has not been a guy this season that has stepped up in the big moments for Washington. I don't know if that's a scheme thing, if they're deciding, we're going to rely more on Damon Williams, more on the pass game, more Damon Williams in the run game, more Damon Williams scrambling, or what. But I just have not been super impressed with Jonah Coleman in the run game the last 3 weeks. That's all. That was my only point.
Well, to play off your concept or idea that, well, maybe we'll use Damon Williams' legs more. Where the hell was that on Saturday?
Was not there.
They didn't even attempt to use his legs.
I was very confused by that as well.
You want to help open up Jonah Coleman in the running game a little bit, let's utilize Damon, and then they got to defend you both. You make those read options happen. Listen, Damon, not a great day for him. 3 interceptions. He had 1 interception his first 185 passes this season, Ryan, but he was picked off 3 times in a span of 5 pass attempts, which pretty much erased this game and made it impossible.
Yep.
Michigan went full boa constrictor mode again and just suffocated Washington in the second half, winning 17-0 in the second half. There was just nothing they could do. And then aided to the fact that their defense had a nice bounce back, held an explosive Washington team who just came off of 700 yards, 600 yards last week to 249. Underwood arguably had his best game of the season, 21 of 27, 230, 2 TDs. And then I had a guy named, a guy that I'm in some fantasy leagues with. He texted me, goes, I don't know where this Marshall guy came from, but he's having a pretty nice day. So junior Zach Marshall came out of nowhere.
Jordan
5 catches, 72.
The tight end.
The
tight end.
5 catches, 72 yards, 1 TD. And then Nick Marsh continues to come on for Michigan. Not a huge yardage day, but did I say Nick Marsh? I'm sorry,
wrong.
Andrew Marsh.
Wrong Michigan school.
Great one-handed snag in this game, finishing 5 for 49 with 1 touchdown.
He's very good.
And your boy Donovan McCauley, 2 catches for 21 yards. Donovan McCauley.
Yep.
But overall, great performance for Michigan. Good bounce back. Maybe not the prettiest in the first half, but they found a way to get it done in the second half. And Washington now has to rebound. I believe they're getting Illinois at Washington next week, so it's not going to be an easy challenge. An Illinois team that's off a bye that gets to travel to you with an experienced quarterback and Luke Altmaier. It will be a big challenge for Washington. And Ryan's Washington will beat Ohio State. Ohio State won't make the playoff, and Washington will make the playoff prediction. Is burning up not as bad as my Clemson national title win, though.
I mean, I picked Penn State, so we just.
That's right. We both died on that hill, didn't we?
Yeah. I think good components for Michigan in this one. It's good to see Jordan Marshall. I think he was a little banged up last week against USC, but fully healthy in this one. Obviously, no Justice Haynes playing, but second half, man. You get a 1-play, 14-yard touchdown drive after a Damon Williams interception. You get a turnover on downs where they turned it over at their own 32, and you get a 7-play, 9-yard field goal drive. They were not exactly moving the ball efficiently throughout the course of this game. But, I mean, at this point for Michigan, a win's a win. It could have been a wheels start falling off the program situation if they lost that game based on some of the stuff that was getting tweeted out midweek. And now you got a little bit of momentum heading into a rivalry game at Michigan State this weekend, a program that has its own problems. And that's actually a pretty good segue to go next, unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
No, great win for Michigan. Washington, I highly encourage you continue to use the actual dual threat ability of Damon Williams.
Yeah, man, you got to use it. It's part of your offense. Indiana 38, Michigan State 13. A bit of a letdown early in this one for Indiana, a
Hangover,
little bit
of
of a slow
course.
start, and we kind of talked pregame. Other than the gigantic letdown factor, was there any, like, what's the play for Michigan State to cover this game? And apparently it was kick a pathetic, sad field goal with 15 seconds left when you're down by 800 points. That was fucking shameful. Jonathan Smith, you should be embarrassed.
Another coach who we can discuss tomorrow night is about having his ass on the hot seat.
That was fickle, a fickle-esque field goal
Hey,
at the end
listen,
of that
Fickle
game.
did not kick one. He went for it on 4th down against Ohio State.
I had Indiana minus 25.5 in this game, and when they kicked that field goal, I cashed the bet out to protect from the chicanery that I figured was going to happen on that last drive.
Yeah.
Anyway, Fernando Mendoza might be the Heisman favorite at this point in the season. He was fantastic in this game. 24 of 28, 332 yards, 4 touchdowns, was not picked off. A little, I don't know if a little trouble running in for Indiana was an accurate way to describe this. They still ran for 4.7 yards per carry as a team, but only 128 yards on the ground. It was more of a air it out game. Kind of struggled moving the ball a little bit in the first quarter. Well, that's not true. They had a long touchdown drive. That's why there was, Jesus Christ. Anyway, you talk for a minute. I'm rumbling now.
You mentioned it. Mendoza shined, man. He's making a hell of a Heisman push. Again, we'll talk more about that tomorrow night. Omar Cooper Jr. and Elijah Surratt just keep eating, man. Cooper with 8 for 115 and a touchdown. Surratt finished with 2 touchdowns. We talked about, again, for Michigan State to have any chance in this game, you had to protect the quarterback. Indiana sacked them 4 times, and they had 9 TFLs. You did not protect the quarterback.
Then they did in the first half. They did fine in the first half.
Yeah, but it was the second half that was the problem.
Indiana moved the ball in the first half, but so did Michigan State. There was some long fucking drives.
Black popped that big run right before half, and that kind of was the nail in the coffin there.
Yeah.
And then Indiana outscored Michigan State, I believe 17-3 in the second half for the final. Indiana's won every single game, Ryan, but one by double digits. They're cooking.
They are still good.
Then we look at Michigan State. On the flip side of that pancake, they've now lost 4 games in a row, and all of them by double digits. And they've now lost 10 of their last 12 Big Ten games. I look at Aiden Childs. He looked like he played and looked good. 27 of 33, 243, 1 touchdown. And he was also their leading rusher, 8 for 48. So the problem for Childs is he's do it all, and when he does it all, it doesn't mean you're going to win.
Yeah, they did not run the ball outside of him well at all.
No, and again, when Indiana has a really good defense. So you've got to find ways to make plays. You didn't protect them. Therefore, you lose the game. Really I think the more interesting part to talk about this is more for tomorrow night's show, and that's the potential coaching hot seat of Jonathan Smith. And it's not going well right now at Michigan State. I don't think it's going well. Schedule aside, I just think overall it's not going as well that you and I thought maybe this had a chance to be when he was hired there. Again, I know we've only been doing this thing for 2 years, but Mark D'Antonio left a hell of a legacy. We're not going to go there with Mel Tucker. He had one great season, and that was about it. But D'Antonio was a hell of a football coach, and Michigan State's not been able to find the consistency since he left.
Yeah, and I think you look at like early season with this team, even though they started 3-0, I think the warning signs were there with that Boston College game, and that certainly is a win that hasn't aged well with what Boston College has done since. And
you fought hard to win that game.
Yes. Probably should have lost that game. And then the week later against Youngstown State didn't look particularly sharp on the defensive side of the ball either. And it's just been straight downhill since then. Yeah, man, I think, and you look at the rest of their schedule. I mean, we talked about this
daunting
a week ago that maybe Penn State is the easiest game left on it, which is not.
That leaves a weird taste in your mouth saying that, right?
It's
for everything that Penn State was supposed to be this year.
A little weird, but I mean, Michigan is going to be tough, even though it is at home. That's a team that runs the ball well. At Minnesota is going to be a challenge the way that they have been playing. You get a bye before Penn State, but at Iowa is going to be a challenge. And then, I mean, I guess you're technically not hosting Maryland, but playing Maryland in your home state, but at a neutral site location. It's not going to be October anymore, so maybe Maryland will find some of that early season magic. I don't know, but
Got to get out of the Halloween slump or something, man.
yeah. So that's Michigan State, but good win for Indiana. Again, they are rolling. This is a team that
Watch out for those UCLA Bruins. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, is UCLA the toughest game left on Indiana's schedule at this point too?
Probably.
That's that also feels weird to say, but back-to-back road games at Maryland and at Penn State will present a challenge just because of back-to-back road games out east.
I mean, for one thing that would derail your fantastic season, it would be to walk into Penn State thinking that they're going to lay down and die, and you lose.
Would not be a good loss.
The problem is they get Penn State the week after. They get bludgeoned probably by Ohio State. So Penn State is going to be a walking wounded, dismantled, whatever you want. Knowles may be canned at this point. We'll talk about the Knowles thing when we get to Penn State here, because I saw an interesting comment today about it.
Clinton, you can go to that game for $48. Imagine telling someone that preseason.
Oh, my God. The number 2 team in the country is coming in. It's $40-something. That's abysmal.
Real quick, let's talk Oregon 56, Rutgers 10.
It's over.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was about as quickly as this game was over, and it was 35-3, 21 minutes into this game. The highlights were just not a good look for the Rutgers defense in this one.
God.
There were guys running everywhere. Noah Whittington and Jordan Davis and De'Aaron Hill might still be running. 415 yards on the ground for the Ducks in this one. Both Davison and Whittington went over the century mark. Dante Moore got back on the horse well in this one. He was good. He did have an interception, but great game for Kenyon Sadiq. 4 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Very nice diving catch in the end zone on a wheel route. No other receiver, though, with greater than 2 receptions in this one for the Ducks. So that was, again, they're still maybe looking for someone out wide to step up. Maybe. I don't know. But good job by the Ducks defense in this one. They completely dismantled the Rutgers passing offense that has been very good this year. Ethan Galiak-Manis was 8 of 25, 79 yards, 2 interceptions, and it did not help that Ian Strong left with an injury in this game, and I don't think he played in the second half, Clint.
And he's also sacked 3 times. Ryan, we should have known Rutgers wasn't going to do well in this. They haven't beaten a ranked team in 16 years. That's the longest active streak in college football.
Jesus.
We said it. Game was over as soon as it started. Oregon 5 touchdowns in their first 6 possessions. This also, side note, first meeting ever between these 2 schools. Polar opposites. Piscataway, New Jersey to Eugene, Oregon.
It's a long road trip.
The Dan Lanning quote here post-game, I was expecting our players to come out and play with an edge. I was expecting them to execute and do their job at a really high level. I thought the things that we were asking our guys to do, they were able to do, and they did that tonight. They did it fantastic, to a T. Now, Rutgers might have aided them with some bad turnovers, but good Lord, they piled up 750 yards, Ryan. 415 on the ground, 335 passing. That is the most yards against the Power 4 school this season.
Ooh.
Rutgers couldn't figure out a defense last year, and they sure as hell can't figure out one this year either.
Nope.
They went heavily in the portal to try to fix these things, and they're still not getting anything from it. And it's kind of a bummer, right? Because of the season Galiak-Manis and those receivers have had. It's been a fantastic year, but you're going to see it again. Rutgers still has to go to Ohio State, I believe. They're going to get railroaded there. I don't have their schedule up in front of me to see maybe what other monsters they have lurking in their closet in the spirit of Halloween. But this game, I turned on. I was like, yeah, you know what? Rutgers has a chance to cover here. I certainly did not, because I felt trusting that their offense might be able to pass the ball, and they couldn't do shit, and I turned it off my quad box pretty much immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Great win, Oregon. Way to bounce back. You're getting another cakewalk next week when Wisconsin comes to town. Rutgers, you got to find some D, man. You got to bring the D.
3 very fascinating results to finish up here with Clinton. Northwestern 19, Purdue 0. This was low-key a really impressive game for the Northwestern defense because this Purdue passing attack has been surprisingly competent this year. Does not help Purdue that Ryan Brown left the first play of the second
No.
half. He got injured. Malachi Singleton had to finish out the game for them. But it's not like Ryan Brown was doing a whole lot at this point. Anyway, he was 5 of 10 for 31 yards in this game in the, again, first half stats. Singleton in the second half, 11 for 20, 187 yards. He was intercepted once. Purdue still cannot run the football. Clinton only 3.3 yards per carry on 26 carries as a team. On the other side of the offensive ball here, Preston Stone continues to just be a quarterback. And that's really all you can say about him. 11 for 26, 132 yards, two touchdowns, one interception, but the running game, Clinton,
stellar
for Northwestern, continues to excel. Joseph Hyman, 22 carries, 87 yards. Caleb Komalafe, 12 carries, 67 yards. 232 yards on the ground for Northwestern as a team in this one. I thought this was going to be a game coming off of that Northwestern win last week where Purdue would get them. And they didn't shut out Northwestern, man. They locked down 2 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss in this game, and they are now 5-2 on the season. 1 win away from bowl eligibility, which I don't know that either of us had on the bingo card preseason.
No, in a year of a coaching carousel.
3-1 in the Big Ten.
It doesn't feel like the Wildcats are there anymore, which you and I thought
No.
David Braun might be one there, and I think he's pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it, though. Preston Stone has turned around. Again, we said it. Northwestern stopped turning the ball over, and look, you win when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Oregon, Northwestern scored on its first few possessions, but it was 13-0 lead at half after scoring on those first 3. They also have a fantastic field goal kicker who's doing really well this year. You mentioned running the ball 50 times for 232. Well, that also helped them swing the time of possession, 38 minutes for Northwestern to 22 of Purdue. So Purdue, again, I know Ryan Brown got hurt, but Purdue has been popping pretty good in the pass game.
Mm-hmm.
Best way to not let that happen is don't let them on the field. And Northwestern did a fantastic job of that. And then on the Purdue side, it cost them again. They had 8 penalties. Mistakes cost them again. 8 penalties for 85 yards, 2 fumbles, and 1 interception. When you're on the road at the Mistake by the Lake, you will not win if you turn the ball over. Just ask Northwestern.
Clinton, if Northwestern wins out, are they a playoff team? Yes or no? I'm only half kidding.
Would they be 10-2 and win the 11-2, winning the Big Ten champ? First of all, they're not going to get in the Big Ten championship because they don't play Ohio State and they don't play Indiana, do they?
No, you would not.
Okay, so they have no shot.
No.
But if they won out regular season, went 10-2, I don't know. Maybe they'd have something spicy to say.
Nebraska at Nebraska at USC versus Michigan versus Minnesota at Illinois is what is left on this schedule.
We're going to be arguing 8-4 or 7-5 LSU should be in because they're still ranked. So why not Northwestern?
Yeah, I don't understand that one, but I don't want to go onto that tangent at all. But good win for the Wildcats in this one. And then just again, looking at that remaining schedule, you need to win 1 of your last 5 games to get to bowl eligibility. It is going to be tough. They are all good, competent teams. But I think they can do it. I think they'll pull off.
It would be impressive.
I think they'll pull off an upset against one of these teams. Good for them. Good for David Braun.
Deep down, you hope it's USC.
No, I want USC to win the rest of their games because that would be very good for Notre Dame.
Yes.
If USC knocked Oregon out of the playoff picture and went 10-2, I would be very happy. Because then, even if USC made the playoff, they get their shit kicked in the first round anyway.
Yeah. By Notre Dame, maybe. No,
oh, that would be a killer rematch.
And they have to come to South Bend again.
You thought you were done with the cold, disgusting weather. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Iowa 25, Penn State 24.
Choke.
Clinton, it was the Mark Gronowski that was promised. Not really. They still don't really have a pass game. 10 of 16, 68 yards, 1 interception, but he ran for 130 yards on 9 carries and 2 touchdowns, including a 67-yard scamper that set up the go-ahead touchdown. And he was talking after the game that he's been planning that with Tim Lester for some time. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not watch any of this game.
Because it was on the cock.
Yeah, we did not have Peacock access where I was at. And I decided that I was just not going to watch it because I was watching the Indiana game on my phone.
I followed the scores, and I found the most interesting thing. You said Gronowski said post-game, and to quote him, if I didn't have the knee brace, I could have unhooked the trailer and scored on that 67-yard TD run. How fantastic. You're right. We got the running portion of Gronowski. Again, Iowa is still lost in the sauce when you're looking for a pass game, which is going to probably come to haunt them when they've got to play Oregon still and some of these other teams. But hell of a win. We said coming into Kinnick as a night game with a new head coach and a new quarterback was going to be an extreme challenge. And, Penn State looked a little bit like they might take it and win. And then Iowa made a hard comeback, found the way to win. And then we flipped to Penn State. Katron Allen's about the only lone bright spot on this team. 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Grunk Funk is what I called this, man. He threw 2 interceptions.
Grunk Funk.
The one was returned to the Penn State one, which then set up, I believe, a Gronowski touchdown run. They finished the night 98 yards passing, or at least Grunk did. But then I wrote in parentheses here. I said his counterpart Gronowski threw for a whopping 68 yards. So it was your typical air raid game for Iowa and Penn State there.
And then they're running that weird running package with the backup Jackson Smolik, which did not appear super effective. And I saw a lot of Penn State fans miffed about, why are we doing this? You're taking that means if you put this in, that means you had to install it and practice it this week. So you're taking reps away from Grunkemeyer. And I think Smolik got hurt too. So now you don't have a backup quarterback.
Listen, just have, why am I blanking on his name? The wide receiver.
Oh, Pena?
No, the other one. The family member that was the quarterback. Why am I blanking on his name?
The hell are you talking about?
Matt. Flip always talks about him.
Oh, Clifford?
Yeah. We'll let Liam Clifford play quarterback, like his brother Sean.
Just run the wing tee the rest of the season.
There
I'm sure
go.
Andy Kotelnicki will get some weird satisfaction from that.
Listen, Penn State's going to get this bye week, and I don't think it's going to matter. So I'm going to carry the Grunk Funk into Ohio State next week because he's about to get funked up. I'm telling you, it's coming. They're not going to survive that trip to the shoe. It's going to be really bad.
I think I saw an early look ahead line was only -4.5. I'm like, there's no way that's real.
There's no shot.
There's no. Hold on.
It's got to be double digits.
They
got to be double digits.
They might get. Yeah. Hold on. Let me.
It depends on what Ryan Day decides to do. And here's the thing. Ryan Day, I think they're going to open up the offense because he's going to want to embarrass Jim Knowles. And I think they're going to kick the living shit out of him.
Yeah,
they're going to kill them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to be a competitive.
And even if for some reason your defense does slow that offense down, good luck having Penn State's offense move the ball in Ohio State's defense.
Oh, that might be a.
They can't typically do it with a cohesive unit. Now they don't have one.
I was going to say that might be a does Penn State get past the 50-yard line game? By the way, Wisconsin got past the 50-yard line with 7 minutes left in the second quarter for the first time. I made sure to keep track of that.
Yeah, there they go.
Let's
end with a walk-off, Ryan.
Yeah. UCLA 20, Maryland 17. The good news for Maryland is they don't have to play any games in October anymore. The bad news is that's the third consecutive Big Ten loss after starting the season 4-0. And excruciatingly, they've been in every single one of their 3 losses. It's not like they're getting blown out. They just can't close games out. Kept it tight early. Good job clawing back and tying the game, but they just could not bottle up Nico and Titus Mokio Atamalala on the final drive. Maryland benefited from some Malik Washington in the run game, but outside of that, they still can't really run the ball super effectively. And Malik Washington was not super efficient through the air in this game either. Bit of a tougher game for Nico, but he made the plays late. Got a couple of big runs from Anthony Frias, and then again, Mokiao Atamalala had 6 catches for 102 yards, including 2 big catches on the last drive to set up the game-winning field goal. Did I see that Nico got banged up in this game too?
He did, and he came back.
Okay.
They thought the knee injury looked pretty rough. Came back out on the field. Ryan, he led 3 scoring drives in the final 6 minutes of that game. That is fantastic. UCLA's on a heater right now. And then you flip it to the other side. Poor Maryland, it's just another heartbreak. They've lost 3 Big Ten games by a combined 10 points. Tragic. And then you look at poor Malik Washington. He led Maryland on an extremely dramatic drive, hitting Jaleel Farouk for an 8-yard TD with 40 seconds left. likely thinking you sealed the game because your defense has been somewhat decent, and then you lose. As again, another note here, the Terps defense was great. They got their 4th pick 6 of the season, Ryan, and they lead the nation in interceptions. So, looking at that moving forward, now that we'll be out of October, I look at a game the week before someone plays Ohio State, and that's Michigan, in Maryland, and a freshman quarterback. Better be damn careful when he's thrown into this secondary with a team who doesn't have that great of wide receivers. That's for another day. But overall, another strong finish for UCLA. They found a way, and they keep trucking. I don't know what flipped this season, man, but when your quarterback takes your team 68 yards in 31 seconds, you got some positive juju on here.
3-1 in the Big Ten, Clinton. 3, 4, 5, 6. They're in a 7-way tie for 3rd place at 3-1.
When do they get Indiana? That's the marker.
It's this weekend.
Oh dear God! Could you? I'm gonna shit.
Big
my
noon.
pants if
Big noon.
If they beat Indiana, and it's in Indiana though. It's in Bloomington. That's not gonna go well.
No, 9:00 a.m. start. That's
no.
Yeah,
you got fucked on that one.
Yeah, we have a distinct class system that has established itself in the Big Ten. You have the top dogs with Indiana and Ohio State at 4-0. You have the shit at the bottom of the conference. Michigan State,
call that
Penn
the class
State,
of ass.
The class of ass. Michigan State, Penn State, Purdue, Rutgers, and Wisconsin are all 0-4 in Big Ten play. I don't want to put Maryland into that, even though they are 1-3, because those 3 losses have all been essentially last-second losses. Illinois, Nebraska, Washington at 2-2, but I mean, you have half the conference that is technically alive for the conference title game right now at 3-1 or better.
Washington, Nebraska, and Illinois were in the SEC. They'd all be ranked in the top 25.
That's true. That is very true. The wildest thing is UCLA being 3-1 in the fucking conference and 3-4
Penn
overall.
State being one of the bottom feeders.
Yeah, I just meant that 3-1 in conference play after starting 0-3 in non-conference play. That's just insane to me.
Yeah.
But it's gonna continue to get interesting, man. Obviously we'll know what happens by December, but that's an inside joke. Never mind. It's not funny.
I mean, week 9, you got UCLA, Indiana, Northwestern, Nebraska, Rutgers, Purdue, Illinois, Washington, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Oregon, Michigan, Michigan State. I assume Michigan State's our NBC 7:30 game. It is. Minnesota, Iowa will be a great 3:30, as well Illinois, Washington, and then your nooners. I think Northwestern, Nebraska is probably going to be the best of those 3, and that being UCLA, Indiana, and Rutgers, Purdue. It's going to be a lot of fun.
There's going to be a lot of good ones this weekend, and Clinton Notre Dame is on a bye week, so I can pay attention.
So is my team. I get to relax.
I thought you were going to a birthday party.
Well, no. I'm just saying Ohio State doesn't play, so I haven't had to worry about them losing a game since the Washington game, really, anyways. So
they have not played anyone with a pulse offensively all season.
No.
I just saw a chart that was like, it was net success rate and something else in Texas is like next to Oklahoma State on it. It's super embarrassing. It's
crazy.
I don't understand how they're ranked.
The arch
That's
hype,
so
man.
Embarrassing.
It's the arch hype.
So embarrassing. Anyway, speaking of embarrassing, we're going to talk hot seat tomorrow and some other stuff that we will figure out.
Some Heisman and maybe a little
do some Heisman.
What we think of the actual AP top 25.
Yeah,
a little SEC bias in there.
Ridiculous. For Clinton, I'm Ryan. Thanks for joining us tonight. Sorry this was not my best effort. I'll be better.